After successfully bidding for the property, the couple received an email from who they thought was their conveyancer.
They had the right funds deposit that we needed. There was no difference to recognise that, other than the .au on the end of that email, that I wasn't talking to the real person.
Sarah and Laine were looking to get themselves a new home. They believed if they followed all official instructions, everything would go well. They hired professionals. They followed every instruction and trusted the process. And then, one day before settlement, everything disappeared, more than $250,000. Nearly all of their entire home deposit vanished into thin air.
The day before settlement was literally when we found out that we had been pretty much scammed all of our money.
The Robinsons had spent years preparing for this purchase. Like many families entering Australia's competitive housing market, they faced repeated disappointment, losing homes they had already imagined living in. Eventually, they secured a property in Mount Nathan on the Gold Coast, a house they believed would finally end the uncertainty. They weren't navigating the process alone. A conveyancer handled the legal work. A buyer's agent assisted negotiations. Every step appeared structured and professional. When it came time to pay the deposit, they chose what felt like the safest possible option.
And they literally picked up my phone, zoomed in on the account details on that email, plugged it into their system, did the transfer, and we were none the wiser that anything was wrong.
They walked into an ANZ bank branch in person. 2 transfers were made, totaling more than $300,000. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt suspicious. Everything looked normal. That sense of normality is what made the scam so devastating. For weeks leading up to the settlement, Sarah Robinson had been corresponding with someone she believed was her conveyancer. Emails arrived containing detailed payment instructions. The figures were precise. Stamp duty amounts were correct. Fees matched official documents. There were no spelling errors, no strange wording, no obvious warning signs. The messages appeared to continue an existing conversation. The only difference, a difference almost invisible at a glance, was the sender's email address. It was missing the .au at the end. That small detail redirected hundreds of thousands of dollars into a criminal account. The discovery came just one day before settlement. Mr. Robinson received a call from the conveyancer asking why the full deposit had not arrived in the trust account. The first payment, $60,000, had cleared successfully. The second payment, worth $252,000, was missing. At first, she believed there had to be a misunderstanding. I told Laine I've been corresponding with the conveyancer for 2 weeks about the transfer. I followed their email and then they replied, "We've received funds. I've got it all there. I'll show you." She showed the emails. The conveyancer looked at them carefully, and within seconds, the truth became unavoidable. They had been scammed. According to security experts, the Robinsons were likely victims of a spear phishing attack, one of the fastest growing financial crimes targeting property buyers. Unlike traditional phishing scams sent to thousands of random people, spear phishing is personal. Criminals study their victims. They monitor communication patterns, gather transaction details, and wait for the exact moment money is expected to move. Then they impersonate someone already trusted. According to cybersecurity specialists, scammers increasingly focus on property settlements because they involve large transfers under tight deadlines. Conditions where urgency feels normal and verification steps are often skipped. Everything about the interaction feels legitimate because most of the information actually is. They have mastered the art of blending seamlessly into an existing process. According to the Robinsons, there were no warning signs. The emails referenced real details about their purchase. Payment timelines aligned perfectly with settlement requirements. Even the tone matched previous communication. This level of accuracy suggests scammers had access to genuine transaction information, either through compromised email accounts or intercepted communications. Experts warn this type of impersonation is becoming increasingly common, replacing older mass scams with highly targeted attacks designed for maximum financial impact. Instead of stealing small amounts from thousands of victims, Criminals now aim for single transactions worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it works. Before we move on, awareness is the greatest weapon against these scams. So please like, share, and subscribe so it can reach an even wider audience before they fall prey. Thank you. The emotional impact was immediate. From the moment it happened, I fell apart. I did break down. I've lost parents, and the grief was much the same because you just don't expect it, and it changes your life so quickly, Ms. Robinson said. The comparison to grief wasn't exaggerated. Years of work vanished overnight. Plans collapsed instantly. Their children, expecting to move into a new home, instead watched their parents begin again from zero. Police initially launched an investigation in Queensland before transferring the case to Victoria, after discovering the receiving bank account belonged to a university student in Melbourne. ANZ managed to recover $82,000 of the stolen funds. The rest was gone. About a week after the transfer, the bank contacted Miss Robinson late at night to confirm whether the account details she had used were correct. While on the phone, she reopened the email and verified the information. There was no clear indication that anything was wrong, no urgency, no warning that the transfer might be fraudulent. Weeks later, the bank apologized for how the call had been handled and acknowledged more could have been done to convey the seriousness of the situation. But according to correspondence seen by investigators, even identifying the scam during that call may not have stopped the loss. The money had already moved beyond recovery channels. Property settlement scams are rising rapidly across Australia. Data shows that millions of dollars are lost each year as criminals exploit email-based communication between buyers, lawyers, and agents. In recent years, losses from property transaction scams have surged dramatically as attackers adopt more advanced and personalized methods. The structure of property purchases makes them ideal targets. Large sums of money, strict deadlines, heavy reliance on email instructions. And most buyers only go through the process once or twice in their lives. They don't expect deception inside a professional transaction. The Robinsons say their anger comes not only from the criminals, but from the system surrounding the transaction. They believe safeguards should have caught the problem earlier.
The reality is electronic banking is scary now and we have no control over it.
Their experience reflects a broader shift in modern fraud. Scammers rarely break security systems directly. Instead, they manipulate people into authorizing transfers themselves. These attacks succeed because they exploit psychology, not technology. Victims believe they are protecting their own transaction by following instructions from someone they trust. Fear of delaying settlement, losing a property, or disrupting legal timelines creates pressure to act quickly, and that urgency removes hesitation. Experts warn that as artificial intelligence tools improve, criminals will be able to craft even more convincing messages, making verification increasingly important for both banks and customers. The Robinson family chose to share their story so others might recognize the danger before it happens to them. They did all the right things. They followed instructions, trusted professionals, and completed the transfer inside a bank branch. Yet their money vanished because modern scams don't always look suspicious. Sometimes they look exactly like the email you were waiting for, and by the time you realize something is wrong, the transaction is already complete.